Today, everyone, we will be predicting the NFL awards if they ended today, based off the first 6 weeks of the season as of this being recorded. Obviously, things can change throughout the next 12 games of the season, but this is the current category winner for what the categories are that I have. We're going to go through Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, MVP, and more. But starting off with the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Derrick Henry, with no receiver truly being like just the top dog. I think as of now, this award pretty easily would go to Derrick Henry if the season ended today. Besides his first game versus the Chiefs, who have a really, really good defense, he has been unstoppable this season, and I expect that to continue. I don't think he's going to win MVP because running backs, if you're not a quarterback, you're not going to win MVP in today's league. But I feel like he should at least be considered as a top 5 MVP candidate right now. But he is going to get Offensive Player of the Year. It's kind of like Christian McCaffrey last year. He wasn't good enough to be MVP, but they wanted to give him Offensive Player of the Year because they couldn't leave him without a single award. And so Derrick Henry for this year is my Offensive Player of the Year. Staying on the offensive side of the ball, it's time for Offensive Rookie of the Year. This category is really fun to follow this season. You have guys like Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., a lot of guys that have been having solid seasons so far, but I think it's impossible as of now not to give it to Jaden Daniels. Jaden has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season as a rookie, balling out with the Commanders. Nobody really expected him to be this good. 5-2 heading into week 8 as of recording. And it's honestly incredible to see, even as a Bears fan, being able to say that Jaden has been one of the top guys this season. The stats are going to be on screen, and they don't lie. Passing yards are not the highest in the league, but keep in mind that he came out for most of the Panthers game, and only 2 interceptions. He's not turning the ball over as a rookie. I think he is the Offensive Rookie of the Year this season, but watch for Caleb, watch for Malik Neighbors still. Maybe even a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. explodes in the second half. But right now, it is Jaden Daniels. Going to the defensive side of the ball with Defensive Rookie of the Year. This defensive class this season hasn't been the greatest so far. They obviously have time to change that. But looking at the stats right now, I've debated between 2 guys, and I'm ultimately going to go with the defensive end from Florida State, Jared Verse, now on the Rams. I debated between him and Dallas Turner. I did give it to Jared Verse because he did have the forced fumble that Dallas Turner does not, but they have pretty similar stats compared to each other this season. Obviously, that's not the best way to look at it, but that is kind of how I did it for Defensive Rookie of the Year. If you go to the odds makers, right now Jared Verse is favored, so it obviously is a trendy pick. And he hasn't played incredible, but he's showing signs of being really good in the NFL. Like that Bears game a couple weeks ago. He only has 1 sack marked on the season. He had 3 that game that were taken away due to penalties from the Rams secondary. So obviously they don't count, but you can't take away the fact that he is making chaos, and he is at least making teams game plan around him, not to the degree that they made Aaron Donald, but obviously he's making a difference on the Rams defense right now. So I'm going to give him my Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, for Comeback Player of the Year, a lot of people are going to want a guy like Aaron Rodgers, coming back from the torn Achilles, the big name of Aaron Rodgers. I get why you say that, but I think most of you guys are going to agree with me that I am giving it to Sam Darnold. The past few weeks, he's come back to earth a little bit, but to deny what he's done with the Vikings this season so far, you just can't. Plus the fact that the Vikings have had injuries. TJ Hawkinson has been out. Jordan Addison missed the first couple games. They beat the Texans, the 49ers, the Packers, the Jets, the Giants. So it's just hard not really to give Sam Darnold comeback player of the year. He's playing like a top 5 quarterback throughout most of the first half of the season. And so he's going to win my comeback player of the year award. My next award is going to be Coach of the Year. We're going to stay in Minnesota as it's going to go to Kevin O'Connell. What he has done with Sam Darnold, with the Vikings this season, it's inspiring after the tragic passing of Curry Jackson in the offseason. Rest in peace to Curry Jackson. The Vikings have had one of their best starts to a season possibly ever. The hype is super high right now in Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell has made every quarterback he's played with look at least serviceable. If you have a guy like Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, not playing bad, you know that your coach is doing something special. You can't forget about the season he had with the Vikings 2 years ago, the 13-win season. He had Kirk look like an MVP before he went to Atlanta. Now Sam Darnold is looking like an MVP. And so Kirk Cousins, you could have argued Kirk is just a really talented passer. At this point, you can't take away from the fact that Kevin O'Connell is just a top-tier coach. And this is the season he gets rewarded with a Coach of the Year. My Defensive Player of the Year would have easily been Aiden Hutchinson. But obviously, in Week 6 against the Cowboys, he severely hurt areas in his leg and will be missing the rest of the season. So prayers for Aiden Hutchinson. But my Defensive Player of the Year as of now is Dexter Lawrence. As interior defensive tackle, he has 7 sacks and 12 solo tackles. You know how impressive that is to get 7 sacks as an interior defensive lineman? Most edge rushers in the NFL right now are not even near 7 sacks. And Lawrence is doing that on the inside with the massive guards, the massive center. It's really impressive to see what Dexter Lawrence has done with this Giants defense. It's clear that they just need another guy to add to the D-line to really unlock him. They added Brian Burns. You obviously already had Kayvon Thibodeau, who I feel like has been a linebacker D-end hybrid, not necessarily just a defensive line guy. So yeah, Dexter Lawrence is my Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out Jervin Dexter of the Bears. He obviously is not going to get it, but as a Bears fan, I do want to shout him out because he's been really, really strong this year and has been arguably like a top 5 defensive player of the year this season. Now, what you have all been waiting for, the MVP. Now, the MVP race this season, it's pretty close, but there's one guy that is standing above the rest. Assuming voter fatigue doesn't hit him, I believe the MVP is Lamar Jackson. You look at the stats that are going to be on screen, he's really efficient, but he's still getting the big play touchdowns. Derrick Henry has obviously helped a lot, but he's been MVP before Derrick Henry came. He's an MVP after Derrick Henry came. A couple honorable mentions, though. Joe Burrow is an honorable mention. Baker Mayfield is up there. You could argue even a guy like Derrick Henry should be an honorable mention. But Lamar Jackson is going to win my MVP. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are new, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.